if we were to speak on the most disrespected characters in comics, especially when you compare it to their popularity or the amount of influence they've had on the industry and superhero media as a whole, that conversation gets very dicey very quickly. And yeah, I've talked about Wonder Woman before. She is at the top of this pillar right now because, in my opinion, she's one of, if not the most disrespected characters in comics when you look at how important she's supposed to be compared to what she is right now. Batman is getting everything under the sun. All of it is under his little bat wing, covered in his shadow, because he is the moneymaker. That is fine. He's my favorite hero, I get it. But when we're at the point where Batman can get shows about his own car before Wonder Woman gets a proper animated series, a movie, or even consistent announcements, something is definitely wrong. Especially when you have something like Paradise Lost sitting right there that you've already announced. Something that could easily be one of your main projects, especially if you're pulling from Historia. Wonder Woman Historia, where do I even start? Honestly, I'm gonna stop myself right there because I could go on forever, but this book right here might be the best, or at least one of the best Wonder Woman books we've gotten in the past decade. That should not be something you're hesitating on. It should be something you're capitalizing on, the first thing or one of the first things you lock in. And it's even worse when you look at Superman. He's not getting Batman level treatment, obviously, but at least he's getting pushed. He's got films, he's got animated series and content, spin-offs. Even his dog is getting a show and a chance to shine. Hell, even a couple years ago, there was a DC Super Pets film with Crypto at the center. This is getting absolutely atrocious, especially when you look at Wonder Woman and she's just there. This is supposed to be the Trinity. If you're not treating all three of them like pillars, there is something fundamentally off. But as much as this bothers me, what really made me think about this topic again was Marvel. Marvel has this strange habit of taking characters that helped build their entire foundation and then just not treating them like it matters anymore. And it's not always the same kind of disrespect either. Sometimes the movies are good, but the comics are terrible. Sometimes the comics are amazing, but the adaptations that everyone sees completely miss. And sometimes, in the worst of cases, you get both. And the character that really set this off for me is Blade. Blade has been going through one of the most disrespectful stretches I've ever seen in a long time. They've been promising things for this character back to back, just to pull them away at the last second. The Blade movie should be one of the easiest things to make. You don't even have to overcomplicate it. A black, half-vampire day-walking hunter with one of the most, if not the most iconic set of gadgets and weapons in vampire hunter history, going crazy on the undead. That is just easy money right there. It's not hard to sell Blade. If you want to make it a straight-up action movie on some John Wick timing, nobody will complain. You're set. But instead, Blade's movie is stuck in development hell. And you've got Mahershala Ali, one of the best actors you could have picked, just waiting around for something that might not ever happen. You're actively fumbling what should be a guaranteed success. And it doesn't stop there. The game, that was supposed to come out in 1 or 2 years, is basically on the verge of getting cancelled. That does not make sense either. This isn't some impossible concept to translate into a game like Superman. It's Blade. There have been vampire games before. The mechanics are not out of this world. This is not a Superman or Flash level problem where you don't know where to start building. Unfortunately, they treat him like he isn't important. This is the character that helped save Marvel from bankruptcy in the late 90s and early 2000s. Those first 2 Blade movies are iconic. Wesley Snipes as Blade is ingrained in the culture to the point that when he did show up again in Deadpool and Wolverine, The reaction itself, well, it spoke for itself. Everybody remembers, and yet now, it feels like they don't. Even when he shows up in games, it's not even fully satisfying. You finally get Blade in something like Marvel Rivals, people are excited, and then he's a bottom tier character, a character where your teammates are gonna argue for you to pick off of him. That's not how this is supposed to go. When you look at the comics, it gets even worse. Blade's runs are consistently short. 10 issues here, 6 issues there, maybe 12 if we're being generous. He is literally pulling Sentry numbers. You are not Sentry, big bro. You are the big Blade. You had a trilogy before Spider-Man. You should be pulling similar numbers, not exactly to Spider-Man, but to other A and B tier characters. If you look at somebody like Darkhawk, he somehow, even though I love him to death, he had a 50-issue consecutive run. Again, I like Darkhawk, but come on! Blade is struggling to get a full year of consistent content. And this is a character that literally helps keep Marvel alive. That is insane. And the crazy part is, he's not the only one. We have to talk about the Hulk. In the back of my mind, I always have this one very simple thought. Why does the Hulk only have one real movie in the modern era all to himself? I get the situation, the universal situation, and I understand the rights issues, but at a certain point, it stops being an excuse. We've seen She-Hulk get a show, we've seen bits and pieces of Hulk lore scattered everywhere, but Hulk himself, he's treated like a supporting character. And this is not just any character. Objectively speaking, Hulk is top 5 Marvel characters of all time. He is part of that 2000s Marvel trinity: Spider-Man, Wolverine, and then there's the Hulk. That is not debatable, but because of the way that he's been treated, newer fans don't even see him that way anymore. He got a movie in 2003, and then another in 2008. Proper progression, but then, after all of that, there is a line in the sand where nothing happens afterwards. Just appearances in Avengers films and side roles in other people's stories. Thor Ragnarok took one of his biggest storylines and used it as a side plot. World War Hulk is basically now off the table. Immortal Hulk, one of the biggest comic runs of the past decade, has not seen any real push to adapt it, and that in and of itself is a real shame. Instead, all of Hulk's lore is being passed around like it's a game of hot potato, like there's a group project being made that nobody wants to take responsibility for. We have Red Hulk thrown into a Captain America movie, the leader thrown into the same Captain America movie, Abomination pops up in Shang-Chi, She-Hulk has her own show, yes, but then we see Scar introduced and everything happened off screen. Everything connected to the Hulk is moving except the Hulk. That right there is a problem, considering that not too long ago, there was a time where Hulk was everywhere. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing him in toys, commercials, movies, cartoons. Even people who didn't fully know the Avengers still knew Hulk first. I remember buying lunchboxes, buying posters, buying Hulk gloves, buying, I don't even know, video games based on this character. Statues were everywhere, popcorn buckets, popsicles. Everything was there and present. Now, he's only present for a supporting role. When they finally try to progress his character with Professor Hulk, they handle it so poorly that people rejected it completely. That was supposed to be a major evolution of Bruce and Hulk, and instead, it felt off. So now we're in this very weird position where they have to walk it back, and it just shows how badly they handled one of their most important characters. But how about we talk about his best frenemy, the God of Thunder himself, Thor, Odin's son. Thor is a bit of a weird case because technically he does get content. He's had multiple movies, 4 to be exact. He's been in the Avengers. He's not absent like some of the others are, but the problem is that Thor, once again, should feel like one of the most important characters in Marvel. This is a literal god, one of the strongest Avengers, in contention with being the strongest, a character with some of the best comic runs Marvel has ever put out. And yet, somehow along the way, he turned into a comic relief character. Ragnarok worked for what it was. I'm not even mad at that. It refreshed the character, made him more likable to a wider audience, but after that, they leaned way too far into it. Love and Thunder is where it really fell apart. The tone was all over the place, and Thor himself didn't really feel like him anymore. It felt like they stopped taking him seriously, and that's the issue. When you look at the comics, there is a presence to him. When he shows up, it means something, and it's not like people don't want to take Thor seriously. We've seen it work. Infinity War Thor is one of the best versions of the character that we've ever gotten on screen. The balance was there, and they just moved away from it. And don't even get me started on Beta Ray Bill. The fact that we don't have a proper live-action adaptation is sickening. The fact that we don't have a proper bond between Thor and Captain America, the brotherly duo that we see in comics and even animation. And I know this is just a Marvel MCU problem because there's only a certain limited amount of screen time that you can have, especially during the time they weren't pursuing animated or just television shows in general. Captain America and Spider-Man and their relationship is something also very undercooked in the MCU because of the plans that they had, with Captain America having his ending and Spider-Man going on to being one of the bigger pillars of the MCU. But going back to Thor, I even read recently, not even read, I was skimming through Mortal Thor by Al Ewing, the recent run, and I was just seeing so many cool things you could do with the character, from a street level standard, from a cosmic standard, from a very mind game wacky metaphysical standard, to even seeing this thing. I don't even know what this is, but look how cool this is. The crazy concepts that you can go into with Thor, it's just very underutilized, and that is just, once again, very sad to see. And then there's the one everyone's been waiting for, Spider-Man. Now, he's not disrespected in the same way, obviously, because he has a lot of movies, television shows, and in general, for the most part, they're really well received. He is one of their biggest moneymakers, and from an adaptation standpoint, he's doing pretty well, all things considered. All of it just goes back to the comics, as everyone has heard before. They refuse to let him grow, and I don't want to talk about it too much in detail because I've spoken about this to death in previous videos. He's one of the most important characters in all of fiction, not just Marvel. Everyone knows him, he's the face, and yet for some reason, he's stuck in a constant loop, and people are tired of that, whether it's from his maturity standpoint, his life, his job, his relationships. You can only watch the same struggles play out so many times before it starts feeling forced. Obviously, you need Spider-Man to be pretty struggleful. That's not even a word, but Parker luck is a thing for a reason. Soap opera comics is very much needed, especially from the Marvel side. But people start to get annoyed when it's 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. It almost feels like we're stuck in quicksand. Right now, Joe Kelly, his run, for the most part, when it's not bogged down by continuity, Marvel editorial mandates, and everything in between, it's mostly pretty good. I've enjoyed it for the most part. The space arc is one of those through lines that keeps the entire narrative functioning and afloat. Currently, we're even seeing some of the side characters that a lot of people liked, like Raylith and Glitch, stay a part of his supporting cast, which is really cool because we have cosmic characters being brought onto a street-level, normal setting. They're literally within his apartment, and that just makes it very engaging. The issue is that whether it comes from Joe Kelly's pen, editorial, or the next writer, something bad is probably going to happen, whether it's his new love interest becoming a villain, or dying, or everyone being wiped out and us starting all over again. We're playing it very safe, even though it doesn't sound like that from what I just said, a complete genocide of a supporting cast. But since they're just created, and there isn't any long-term fan attachment, there is no reason to keep them involved. That is how they think. They're playing it safe with a character that doesn't need to be played safe with. There's already an established fan base. Wouldn't it just make sense to full throttle into the unknown, especially considering they completely uprooted Spider-Man's original cast of characters, his love interest, Mary Jane will never be the same, and this entire video, if I'm gonna go back on topic, started from Marvel having that one dumb post saying Spider-Man is a pioneer of relationships and love, seeing that one scene with Peter Parker and Mary Jane on the top of the Empire State University. Why are you gonna dangle something in front of my face if you're not gonna give it to me? The disrespect is next level, but it is what it is, and it'll never be the same way again. But yeah, guys, let me know down below who are characters that you think get disrespected the most by Marvel, and you just don't like it. Let me know down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you know when a new video goes live. And yeah, see you all later. Take care. Deuces. Peace.